Case studies are not just portfolio fillers. They are one of the first things hiring managers and recruiters look at when assessing a designer. Do you know why? Because they review how you think. Hiring managers don't just want to see nice UI screens. They want to understand your decision-making process, problem-solving skills, and how you approach user experience challenges. So stick with me to the end of this video, and in just a few minutes, I'll walk you through the key elements of a strong case study, how to structure it, and the mistakes to avoid. A good UX case study tells a story. Think of it like this: you're taking the reader on a journey from problem to solution. So let's look at the key elements of a great case study. A great case study follows a clear structure that makes it easy for recruiters and hiring managers to understand your thought process. But this structure depends on each case. Here's a guide to what every strong case study should include. Number one is a strong background story. What problem are you solving? Who does it affect? Number two is user research and insights. What did you discover about the users and their pain points? Number three is problem analysis, breaking down what's wrong with the current solution. Number four is your design process and iteration, showing how you arrived at the solution step by step. Number five is the final solution and impact. What changed? How does your design solve the problem? So let me show you how these elements can be applied to a real case study. So let's go ahead and look at how we can apply these key elements to a case study. So as you can see here now, this is a case study that I worked on. The first thing I did was to give it a very engaging title, and I also added this very nice UI just for aesthetic, just to make it very visually engaging. So the next thing that I did was to give it a strong background, right? I started with a strong background story. A friend of mine lost over 100,000 due to frequent transfer mistakes on the mobile application of the bank that he's using. At first, it seemed like human error, but I wanted to explore if the bank's design played a role in this mistake. So that is the summary of this problem statement of the overview that I have here. I actually still went ahead to do a root cause analysis just to make it very clear what the problem was. I then went ahead to do user research and then come up with insights from my user research, which led me to create this persona here. So the next thing I did was identify my user, which is my friend. My friend was busy, easily distracted, and struggling with cognitive overload. So by understanding his behavior, I could see why he frequently made errors. He wasn't reviewing transaction details properly, and the app didn't help to reduce these mistakes, right? So another thing, after identifying my user persona, right, the next step now was for me to analyze the problem itself, like problem analysis. I needed to understand the app's flow, which led me to do examining the current flow that the app actually had. I did a further analysis of the flow. I then identified the problem. So the problems were: one, the recipient's name wasn't emphasized enough. Two, the review screen didn't encourage double checking details. Three, the UI was clustered, making it hard to focus. Now, these are usability issues, and it is very crucial, which I have pointed out here. Now, after pointing it out here, I went ahead to talk about solution. Under my solution, I actually showed that I did two iterations, which is me showing them my design process and my iteration. I showed them that I did the first iteration, went back, did some research, and then went ahead to do a second iteration. Then again, I clearly stated out the solution for the frequent wrong errors. So what I did in the solution here was just simply to call out the beneficiary name very well so that anybody can easily see. I also changed the color of where the beneficiary name is placed so that the person can see. So even if the person did not see the beneficiary name, there's also like a pop-up that said you are about to send 40,000 naira to so person. Is this account details correct? You can then click proceed. I didn't just stop there. Remember that after the final solution, we need to also show impact. Now, the impact is that I take this design and the solution I created to my friend. I tested the solution to know whether it is going to help him with the problem, and he confirmed that this is a much better approach and will help with the erroneous fund transfers that he constantly makes. Now, let's talk about some common mistakes that can weaken your case study and how to avoid them. Number one is skipping the problem statement. Don't just jump into the design, always explain the problem first. Number two is not showing information. Employers want to see your design process, not just the final UI. Number three is lack of user research. If you don't explain user insight, your solutions seem random. Four is overloading with jargon. Keep your language simple and clear. Assume the reader isn't a UX designer. And lastly, no measurable impact. Saying that you improved the design isn't enough. Show real impact. The error reduced, the user satisfaction improved, what changed? So remember, your case study should tell a story, not just use a UI screens. Make sure it is clear, structured, and backed by data. And now, that is how you craft a strong UX case study. If you found this video helpful, give this video a like, subscribe to LogRocket for more UX insights, and let me know what's the biggest challenge you face when writing a case study in the comments.